Hi, welcome back to part 5 of my video series on my thoughts on this book series, Mission Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. I'm still on book 1, but I'm almost halfway through. Now, buckle in, because this is going to be a long video. So, oh my gosh, Jet and the Countess kissed. Like, that, oh, I squealed out loud. Like, that was such a good scene, and Jet was so smooth with the way he was doing it. Like, he was teaching her kind of like this combat sort of dance, and he just grabs her by her hips and pulls her in and kisses her, and it was so smooth. And then Sultan breaks it up, naturally. Sultan finds out from some Earth correspondence that he has Earth newspapers coming to Spitos. And these newspapers specifically are the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Really? You couldn't think of any other newspapers? Like, I get it. It's like the 70s, 80s when this book was written. So those were probably the big newspapers at the time, but couldn't think of anything better. It had to be the two biggest newspapers in America. Okay. Well, after the kiss, and as I said, Sultan broke the kiss up. So after that, Sultan and Jet go to see Dr. Krob. When they arrive at the biological section of Dr. Krob, Sultan leaves Jet in the library with the librarian and goes to the far end of the hall to a room where Dr. Krob is working on another freak. Dr. Krob, when Sultan walks in, puts his hand up, don't bother me. I'm doing something here, don't bother me for a second. And Sultan observes this freak. Dr. Krob has made this guy have tentacles for arms, tentacles for legs, a frog-like tongue, and protruding brow bones. Just, why is it every time that Dr. Krob is not on screen, wow, I watch movies too much. Why is it every time he appears in this book, it just makes me want to crawl into a hole and die? He is like the human centipede doctor to the 10,000th degree. He is so scary, and it's just yuck. For some reason, in this chapter, Sultan starts feeling nauseous and having stomach pains, and he's in so much pain that he sits down. Like, he never sits down around Jet, and this is, like, the first time that he sits down, because he can't keep standing. So Sultan and Dr. Krob return to Jet, and Dr. Krob, within 2 seconds, tells Jet to strip. So this exam that he's going to do on Jet is going to be done completely naked. Well, with Jet completely naked. If the doctor was naked, it would be very awkward. But anyway, Jet's completely naked, and there's an audience of women watching from the doorway, and Sultan is describing Jet's body for us. Describing him as good-looking, godlike, muscular, perfect physique, just everything you could think of. It's a very homoerotic description there, Sultan. You got something you want to share with the class, buddy? Sir, you just, 3 chapters ago were interested in his sex life, and now you're describing his body like this. Sultan even goes as far as to go he's not gay, and while I'm sitting here like, sir, that ship has sailed. Like, I get it, I'm a modern reader who has grown up in, this LGBTQ space, but, sir, that ship has sailed. You cannot claim you are straight. Anyway, this exam ends, and Krob states that it's obvious that Heller is from a planet called Manco, making him the same race as the Countess, which Just makes it another reason why they like each other, doesn't it? So Sultan asks, what does Jet need to do to prepare himself for Earth? And Dr. Crobe goes through a list of differences that Jet is going to have with an Earth counterpart. Basically stating he's going to have to learn how to breathe different, walk in a different gravity. So his walking's going to be quite different. He's going to have to train himself to walk again. And he's going to have to learn how to breathe deeper. So, and he's going to have to maintain that breathing deeper while he's exercising, or he's going to get way too tired way too quickly. Crow goes on to say he can eat the earth food and drink the earth water. However, it's not going to provide that much nutritional value to him. He's actually going to get more hungry more quickly because it's not going to be as filling. But Crow goes on in the same breath to say, hamburgers. Hamburgers have all the nutritional value that Jet needs. And it should keep him fuller longer. So he should stick with those as much as he possibly can. And then Crow goes on to describe alcohol. Says strong spirits, like vodka or gin, that stay away from those. But you can have beer. So Jet is going to be stationed in the U.S. in either Virginia or somewhere in New England on a diet of hamburgers and beer. Don't you just love stereotypes? Don't you just love our stereotypes here? Like, those stereotypes come and bite us in the ass as Americans, don't they? I don't think they bite all the world in the ass, but that hamburgers and beer one just really hurt as an American. Wow. Really? Really? Just wow. Anyway, Dr. Crow then tells Jet he's going to need to exercise more because the Earth's gravity is going to make his muscle tone go down and his tendons come loose, and he's going to get flabby and fat if he doesn't exercise. Yeah, he's going to get flabby and fat if he doesn't exercise. Besides, because of the gravity? Not because of the freaking diet of beer and hamburgers? Like, sir, I can't wait to see where this is going to go, because I really hope the Jet does not get fat. I hope that he keeps this athletic build, and I think he's going to, considering how this series is seeming. But what? So Crow finishes his lecture and questions if Jet, who had been looking around the library for a certain book the whole time, had even been listening to him. Jet confirms that he was, and asks for this book that he was looking for. Crow says, oh, we don't have it, but the librarian quickly goes and grabs it and brings it back, much to Crow's annoyance. Crow regards this book that Jet asked for as a book of fables. And the story that Jet turns to is a story about a prince from Manco who fled to Earth, or Blito 3, which is what Earth is called, and founded a city called Atalanta. Atalanta. Now, if you think like me, the first correlation in your head when you think Atalanta is probably Atlanta, Georgia, is what they're talking about. Nah. We find out later that they're talking about Atlantis. They're talking about the lost city of Atlantis. Like, what? I thought they were talking about Atlanta, Georgia. No, they're talking about Atlantis. Okay, so I suppose that kind of makes sense when you think about it, but still. Crow is annoyed that Jet brought up the story. stating that humanoid creatures are the most common sentient creature in the universe and how they need to be humanoid to survive. Like, they need the thumbs and they need the humanoid structures. This statement about being humanoid to survive annoys Sultan, because if it was true, why make freaks? Why murder these people slowly? Like, it's just murder at this point, and it's not even, like, efficient. It takes years to actually kill them, and you're just torturing them along the way. So Sultan is actually pissed and just finds this man old fraud. Jet tries to defend his interest in the book because of the fact that the Manco race looks so similar to one of the races of humans on Earth. And my question is, unless it was stated before and I just missed it, what race is Jet? You know? Like, they never really described what he looked like, I don't think. I can't think of a time when they really described what he actually looked like. Like, I can't even think of what they told us his hair color might have been. Or his eyes. So, naturally, hearing that he looks similar to a race of humans on Earth just kind of raises the question of what race of humans. So, I kind of want to know. And then, well, this actually will get answered in this video too, so stay tuned. To try to settle the argument, Crow goes to the deep freeze vats and chops off an Earth human's hand and brings it back to the library, to which Jet questions, "Are you guys kidnapping humans?" Sultan confirms this to us, the reader, but tells Jet to his face, "No, we just grabbed these from vehicular accidents." Krob uses blood samples from both Jet and the human from Earth to confirm that Earth people originate from Earth. There is no similarities between Manco race and Earth race. But Jet is convinced that there is. He says there is a similarity. And Crow is like, "You're just an untrained observer. You don't know that." And this is the point where it's confirmed that Jet is white. And I'm going to say he's Caucasian, because that's going to come back later in this video. Remember that I said that. So Krob pulls Sultan to the side and starts suggesting different operations. Like, he says that Jet's going to be way too tall for his race, so he's going to stick out on Earth, and that they are going to need to basically remove parts of his leg bones and his arm bones and shrink his skull to make him closer to being 5'8" instead of 6'5", which he is. Is that really a problem, though? Humans come in all shapes and sizes. Even Caucasian humans can be above 6 feet tall. So is it really an issue that Jet is over 6 feet tall? I don't think so, but apparently Krob does, so I guess. But as Krob is making the suggestions about all the surgeries that Jet's going to need to have done, Sultan gets violently ill. Like, throws up all over himself, all over the floor, and Jet rushes over to help him, as all hell starts to break loose in this area. Why did Sultan get so sick? Like, he got violently sick and quick, and it only happened after he got down to the biological section where Krob was. So what happened? Also, Jet's reaction and being so fast. Aww, that is so cute. And then the whole chapter after that is just Jet taking care of Sultan. Like, Sultan's uniform was destroyed with his bout of illness, and Jet just casually takes this man back to the room that they share, bathes him, and gets a guard to take Sultan's identiplate, which is basically his ID card, and go get Sultan a few new uniforms. Sultan obviously did not like this idea of having somebody besides him have his identiplate, because he thought he was like, they could spend my credits and anything that's on my books on anything they want while they have my plate. Like, what are you doing? And Jet goes, just learn to trust people, damn it. And he's like, and Sultan's like, I'm too sick for your moral lessons right now. And as he's sitting there on his bed with a heat lamp over his stomach and a cold rag on his head. Too sick for your moral lessons. So when Jet, before he disposes of this destroyed uniform, empties out Sultan's pockets and puts the weapons in one pile, puts all the papers and anything else in the other pile. And Sultan is freaking out as Jet is doing this, thinking that Jet's going to look through these papers and his whole mission is going to be exposed right there. Jet does not look through these papers at all. He doesn't even touch these papers, besides putting them in a pile. He does touch the weapons. He like looks at the blast stick and starts commenting, you gotta make sure that the cartridge in here isn't a dud, because they ship these with duds. And, he checks the cartridge and goes, oh, it's not a dud, you're good, you got quite the loadout here, what's going on here? Picks up the knife, starts examining it, swings it around a little bit, goes, it's quite a good metal for this. This knife is made out of quite a good metal. And he throws it at a melon that was just on a shelf above Sultan's head, and just freaks the hell out of Sultan. Like, why would you do that? That's just mean. And it cuts this melon up and offers it to Sultan, and Sultan gets sick at just the thought of eating. So he's, no, I'm not gonna eat that. And Jet's like, okay, I just thought a melon would help cool you off, help you feel a little bit better, but okay, I'm not gonna force you to eat. Goes back over, cleans the knife, puts it back in the sheath. Doesn't say anything. Just lets Sultan get better. Sultan gets over starts feeling himself get sick, so he leans back over the edge of the bed to start retching. And Jet brings him a bucket, though it's not necessary. And he realizes that every time he starts getting that violently ill, he's thinking about Krob, and he's thinking about Jet's procedures. And he's thinking that he's going as far as to think that Krob possibly poisoned him. And I just find it kind of odd that Sultan got sick around Krob, even to the point, getting violently ill when they're talking about Jet having these procedures. Like, I think Sultan might actually like Jet, and he's just in denial. Like, I get that I made a joke about him being kind of gay earlier, but I think he just likes him in a friend way. But I don't think he's willing to admit it. I don't think he's ever going to admit it. When Sultan eventually gets his mind off of Krob and Jet's procedures, he is miraculously better, which it just adds to my point of he had to have been sick, probably from worry, but I guess we'll find out later if they ever explain it. So Sultan gets up, cleans himself up again, gets dressed, and gets ready to face the day again. Just kind of strange illness, but that was the whole chapter, was Sultan getting cared for by Jet and being sick. So after Sultan recovers from his illness, Countess Crack decides to prank him. More so she could see Jet and have a date, but she still pranked still pranks Sultan in like the meanest way possible, and it was still the funniest thing I've ever. It was funny. Like, she compressed herself into like a large box addressed to Officer Gris, which is Sultan, and inside she hid herself under a Zitab, which is the most venomous reptile on Voltaire. And it was a live reptile too. She's just holding this snake-like reptile by its head like this above her. So when Sultan opens the box, he understandably freaks out, stumbles backwards into the shower, and has all the lotions and soap bottles fall on top of him. And, he's freaked out, he's surprised, and the Countess stands up out of the box in this smoking red dress, and she looks extremely good looking. And now everybody, including the Countess, Jet, and the guards, are laughing at Sultan. And Sultan is so embarrassed. So the Countess and Jet end up having an amazing date in Sultan's room, with Sultan awkwardly pouting in the corner. After, of course, Jet helped him up and was like, come on, you gotta admit that was a funny joke. And Sultan's like, I absolutely will not admit that was a funny joke. And, occasionally Jet's sliding Sultan, like, cups of sparkling water or like sweet buns or something like that, so he's not like left out, but he's not really looking at him, not engaging with him. But when he's talking to the Countess, he's showing pictures of different people on Earth of the Caucasian race and comparing them to Manco people. And the Countess doesn't realize that these are people from Earth. So she's thinking these are people from Manco, and she's reminiscing about her home with Jet. And Jet eventually reveals that these are Earth people. And he is convinced, even after talking to Krob, that these are not fables. These are true. And that Manco people made it to Blito 3, or Earth. The Countess and Jet even start to sing an old nursery rhyme that corresponds with the story that I told earlier. And they speculate that the prince in the story actually did get to Earth, and because the race that looks closest to the Manco people is called Caucasian. And the prince was, let me find his name, Prince Caucasia. Calcia. That's what his name was. And they speculate that the names are so similar, it has to be that. Sultan shuts this down with a quick geography lesson, and he is not buying into any of this. And this is the point where they also confirm that Atalanta was supposed to be Atlantis. And Sultan is getting progressively more annoyed with Jet during this, because Jet believes that Atlantis got wiped out, and it was this race of Manco people, and he wants to make sure that no other Manco people on Earth get wiped out, so that his race can keep getting spread. And Sultan is questioning at this point how this man can be an engineer. He's like, how can this man who believes in this fairy tale be an engineer? Honestly, I can see where Sultan is coming from. I think Love is making Jet act a little goofy, and it's making him think things that probably don't make the most logical sense. But also, it would be kind of cool to find out that these Manco people are the Caucasian race on Earth. And that, maybe our quest as white people to conquest the world is just because we're alien invaders. Like, this book was supposed to kind of have themes that correlate with our real life and society, and you know, that would be a funny theme if these Caucasian people in this book end up being Manco race, and it's just that we're alien invaders, and that's the reason we're so the way we are. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Also, Sultan is starting to become my favorite. Is really starting to give Jet a run for his money on who's my favorite character, because of just Sultan having the best reactions to everything. Like Jet is great at like being compassionate and having this brilliant mind, and he's good looking. But Sultan is actually funny, and I don't think he's intentionally funny, but he's just hilarious to me, and I want to see more of him. So yeah, some of the themes of this book are very clear that it was written in a time that was not 2020s. It's very clear that there's some homophobic themes in here and some racist themes even. Do I think that takes away from the book? No. Like, when Sultan goes into this, I'm not a man-loving person thing. Why am I talking about Jet this way? I don't think it takes away from the book. I think it adds a bit of humor. If you honestly try to look at it as that was just the way the time period was, it's not actually all that bad. Like, especially considering this is the most tame I think it could be. Like, granted, I think, like, about 4 or 5 chapters ago, when they were getting the blackmail on Jet, and they mentioned that he beat up a homosexual nurse. Granted, I think that was going a little too far. But here, it doesn't really take away from the story. Like, it's kind of just a one-off joke, and you kind of forget about it the next page. But it's also fun to just kind of joke that Sultan might have a little bit of a gay streak, and might be a little for Jet. But who knows? And honestly, the fact that he's not disclosing where Jet is to the judge, he says that he doesn't know where Jet is, and that if he saw Jet himself, he would kill him. But I don't believe that. I think the Sultan and Jet are probably going to become friends by the end of this, and that Sultan is protecting Jet in a way. But that's just my opinions, and they're all subject to change. Who knows? As we get through this book series, it could always change. You know, this is just book 1, and I'm only halfway through it, and I'm already hooked. I'm hooked. I can't wait to get to book 2. And I know I still got a long way to go, and I don't want these videos to be an hour long, but if they end up being an hour long, and you guys like them being that long, tell me. And I'll definitely try to make these longer, because it's very hard to put this book down when I'm on a roll reading, just so I can keep these videos to a minimum. So yeah, let me know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments about, you know, anything about this book series, or even, it's gonna be a while, but what series should I do next? That is not Wheel of Time, because I won't make it through that. That's too many plots to keep together. But yeah, definitely. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want me to read next. Till next time, see ya.